Hello everybody, I'm going to be doing another figure painting, but this time I'm going to be doing it live in real time, so you'll be able to watch me as I go from sketch straight to the finished painting. And I'll be doing that once again in Sketchbook Pro, Sketchbook Pro 6 that is. But first I want to show you the site I do use for all my sketching when I do the practice sketches that I always link to below. It's right here, artist.pixellovely.com. And they have a practice tool for figure drawing. I usually set it to only nude models and only female models. I usually go to standard mode, and let's see. And then what it'll do is it'll allow you to draw. Now, let's see. Let me just refresh this page. Standard, and then when you hit standard, it'll give you what time interval you want. This will be how long in between each image you want. I usually start off with 30 seconds, and then I'll work my way up to 2 minutes, and then sometimes 5 minutes for the gesture drawing sketches. Depends on how detailed I want to get, how long I want to work on it for. And so, you would click Get Drawing, and then it'll just flash a bunch of images in front of you. And then I'll usually do this, and then if I'm going to do a figure painting, I'll just keep doing that until I find one that really catches my eye that I want to capture in color and paint. And then I'll pause this. But I already did this, I already did my warm-up. So if you see along the side here, I have a bunch of screenshots that I had taken from this website. Just so I could show you kind of my thought process and why I paused on those particular ones. Sometimes I don't even know, something catches my eye. In that case, I was flicking through those images very rapidly just because I knew I wanted to paint something. So I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to paint, so I was just going through them to see what caught my eye. So let me open up Photoshop, put these all in Photoshop so I can show you them. And a good chunk of them most of them were taken by the same photographer. In this case, Marcus J. Ranum. As you've probably noticed from a lot of my other videos, he tends to be the photographer whose pictures I like the most. I don't know why that is. It just could be coincidence, could not be coincidence. I don't know. Since this is in real time, it's not scripted or anything, there's a good chance I might just end up rambling. Who knows, when I go to edit this, I might just take out all this audio and put in new audio, where I might actually make sense. Alrighty. Now that I got these all in here. Now, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I hate that. If you put them too close together, they'll put them in the same window frame, and I kind of don't like that. Now, these two images are quite similar, but there's subtle differences between them. But what I like about this image is I like the lighting, first of all. The lighting is great. I really like the curvature right here. The curve there is really nice. I like the overall flow of the piece. And I like it in this one as well. But I saw this one first, and I caught this one first. And then when this one came by, at first I was like, is that the same image? But no, the curve is a little bit more in this one. I actually like this one better, and this leg is lit up better. So I think if I was going to be painting one of these two, it would probably be this one as opposed to this one. Only because I like the flow slightly more. Yeah, so... But yeah, I like the warmer tone figure on the bluish background. I've noticed I kind of find those more pleasing than others. But let's see, let me shrink these back down. This one. I just love the feel of the pose, the joy she seems to be having, and it's very fun-loving. It also has a nice curve to it, nice flow to it. Once again, a more bluish-greenish background and warm-toned foreground. And once again, by Marcus. In fact, I think these all are by in this case. Let's see. I also like the flow of this one. I like the skin tone on it. The only thing I don't like about this is it's a little bit too dark here, so it's kind of hard to read the actual form. So for this purposes of trying to get the figure down, it's probably not the best because it's hiding the form. And then here's another one. I like the lighting on it, and I like the curves. And yeah, I really overall like the posing. Once again, another photo by Marcus. He does excellent work. You should go check him out, look him up. I'll try and post a link in the description. Another one by Marcus. And I really like the warmness of this skin tone against the background. Now this one's not bluish background, but it's a more brownish background. But even so, it still reads all together nice and well. I don't know, I just like it. I don't pretend to understand my subconscious. And then here's another one with a nice flow to it, nice curve here. And this one actually caught my eye several different times. In fact, when that last painting I saw, there was two that I had the last painting that I posted that I did, there was two screen captures I had caught. One was the one that I ended up working on. The other one was this one. And I noticed today my eye caught it again. So I might very well just paint this one now, simply because my eye has already caught on it several different times. So I think I might as well just go ahead and paint this one. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll move this up to my other screen. I have an iMac right above the Cintiq. And then after I'm done doing this video, or in another couple days or so, I'll show you my studio, how I have my workspace set up, where my Cintiq is and my iMac. I'll include the reference books, the art books that I have off to the side here, etc. So look for that in a future video. So now I'm going to close out all these other screen captures because I don't actually need them open. And I'm not going to be doing the work in Photoshop. I just have it where the reference is for the moment. Alright, so here we have Sketchbook Pro 6. I already got a palette. I already have my layers, open. I have the background set to a lighter gray. And then I have another layer already set up because it's left over from when I was doing my sketching. So I'm going to do a quick sketch of that image you just saw. And when I go to edit this video, I will put the image right about here like I did for the other one so that you can see it as I'm sketching. But I'm looking at my other screen. So I'll go through and I'll do the other sketch. I'm just using the regular pencil tool. The setting is set for hardness HB 1.7. And I'm using black. And the size at the moment of the pencil is, let's see, I think 1.5 is what I was sketching at. Yeah, that's about right. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll go through sketch it before I start the painting. Let's see. Get that nice curve going. Now normally when I'd be painting I wouldn't be like talking. I'd be actually listening to a lot of music. That's pretty much most of the time when I'm painting, and if I'm not in a Google Plus Hangout or making a video, I'm listening to music. And what I'm listening to really depends on what part of the painting phase I'm in. Like if I'm doing a fully rendered caricature or whatnot, like if I'm in the later stages where I'm just doing mostly detail work, then I'll probably listen to a lot of commencement addresses and keynote addresses, that kind of stuff, or Google Talks or TED Talks. I like listening to that kind of stuff when I'm working on detail work. Yeah, if I'm doing the more sketchy type stuff or the painting kind of stuff where I need more concentration on the actual image itself because I'm still in the design phase or whatever, then I'll listen to more like metal or classical or pretty much whatever. I listen to a lot of heavy metal music or punk music. I don't know. It depends on my mood. But it does depend on how I'm working like what kind of art I'm doing at the time. Let's see. Back to this Back to this drawing here. And she's holding on to these fabric. Hang down. Make sure I capture that. The arm is wrapped in there. Now at this point I usually tend to start having a slight argument in my own head on how detailed a sketch I want to do. Because, you know, I know I'm going to be painting over the whole thing anyway, so sometimes I do more of the drawing and the painting itself, but that's usually not a good idea. You're better off getting a pretty decent sketch to begin with than fixing it all in the painting phase. I mean, I know I'm going to end up changing things and fixing things in the painting phase anyway, but that's no excuse not to get a decent sketch to start from. So, you know, I can see here my proportion is way off. Now you won't be able to see here, but sometimes I do use my Cintiq stylus as a measuring tool. Sort of like citing with a pencil. Very similar. Shrink this whole thing down a bit. Make sure I have enough room for the leg. Now, in the future, if there's anything like specific you want me to do a video of, etc., questions you have, please don't hesitate to ask. Leave a comment and let me know. Hit me up on Google+, I'm there all the time. I'm on Facebook. While I have a Twitter account, I almost never use it. But I'm there as well. But if you send a tweet to me and I don't actually respond for a while, it's not because it's nothing personal. It's just I almost never check the site. You're far, far, far better off contacting me on either Google Plus or Facebook. I'm going to, let's see, image. Now I'm just going to mirror the whole thing to take a look at what it looks like in reverse. So see how off I am, how skewed I'm getting. And then I'm going to do that in the reference as well over in Photoshop. It's a little easier on Photoshop since I have my Cintiq program to do that automatically. All I got to do is hit a button on it. I haven't figured out how to set Sketchbook Pro to do that yet. I'm sure there is a way, I'm just ignorant of it. Now I see that this part needs to be lowered down. A little bit more stretched out. I think that works slightly better. Now what I'm going to do is lower the opacity down, or the transparency. There we go. Yeah, opacity, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. On this layer, just a bit. And I'll go on a layer on top. Then I'll rough it. Then I'll do a slightly cleaner sketch before moving on to the paint. Notice that I'm going to go back to this layer real quick. So I notice this leg isn't really tall enough. mirror it back the correct way. Same in Photoshop. Alright, I think the sketch is starting to get to the point where I can start painting it. I got all the main information I need to begin the painting. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to merge this down with the layer below it. So that'll be my sketch layer. I sometimes label them, sometimes don't bother, but in this case I will rename sketch. Alright, now the first thing I'm going to do is this background is, you know, no longer the right color for it. So now the background in the image, as you can see, is bluish. It's darker on the right hand side than the left hand side where the light's coming from. So I'm going to go up here to my Copic palette, and I just happen to already be on the bluish section, bluish purple section, which is about what the background is. And I'll go to something similar. It looks like it's about, I want to say about close to this. That's pretty close. And then I'll go to my fan brush. Make it a little bit bigger. And I'll do it on a layer above the background so it doesn't blend with the background. Just laying in, just make the brush bigger. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that sketch slightly bigger. Than, you know, I had shrunk it down. I'm going to re-enlarge it just slightly. There we go. Now I can go and add darker to this side. And lighter on the other side. Now it's a little more saturated in the image up here, so now I'm going to merge that down. Alrighty, so the background's pretty set. And it will go on to another layer. And now here's where I'm going to do my color palette. And here I'm going to go up to the Copic screen. Let's see. Looks like it's more orangey. No, actually. Let's see what other palette choices I have. I'm going to look for the Copic palette that has closer to the colors that I see in the image. So, alright, so that's about good. I think that's about right. And I'm just pretty much going by eyeball at this point. And what I'll do is I'll just make a big sphere of this color. And that'll essentially be the base coat color. I'll shrink the brush down. Let's see. And I'll pick my colors and I'll blend them on here. I need a darker color, so I'll go here, go a little bit darker for the core shadow. There we go, that's better. Now, this, the overall, it's very low chroma, so it's very dark. And then there's this is fairly similar to what it'll be right here, like on where it's highlighted here, and a little bit where it's down here. It's much more lighter up on this part of the leg, that part of the leg, and that part of the leg. So I'm going to go about that. There we go. That's about what it is there. And then there are sections of height right between the light side and the dark side here. It's very saturated right there. So I can go right here to that orange. I can go to the more saturated side, a little bit darker. There we go. That's just for that very, very small section. Alright, so this will be the color palette I use for the most part. I might stray from it slightly, but predominantly it's going to be colors from in here somewhere. There's one section is darker, like her hair. Alright, now on another layer. This will just be for the palette. Might as well label it palette. They probably spelled wrong, but oh well, I'm not looking it up right now. Alright, so I'll go through and put. Now I'm underneath the sketch layer. With the same fan brush, I'm not worrying about staying in the lines or anything like that. I should shrink down. And actually, for this, I'm probably better off using a different brush. Try this brush. There we go, that's good enough. As you can see, this beginning phase is rather very sloppy. Now I do this, I try and make my strokes sort of follow the form of the figure. always easy. I'm not sure if you can hear it in the background or not, but my chair's kind of squeaking as I lean forward and back, so if you hear a like high-pitched squealy noise, that's what that is. Sorry about that. Now the other thing where I got color in that I didn't put on my palette is the cloth itself, so I'll do that now. And that's pretty much, I'm just going to, for the one, it's pretty much blue, so I'm just taking the background color and working off that. It's less saturated and darker. Now if I turn off this sketch layer, you'll see how very sloppy it is, but it is starting to read what I'm going for. And I could also see the spots I'm missing, like here. So I'm going to go add that in, and then I'll kind of slowly start making it so I can get rid of the sketch layer. Now I'll go through with the eraser tool. I'm going to neaten that up a bit. Alright, so sketch layer is off. Let's see. I noticed that right by this knee here, it's missing a little something. So now I'll just do a little adding and refining without using the sketch layer. Keep in mind, the sketch layer is just a guide, so, you know, once the guide is no longer needed, get rid of it. Now, see right there, that's a very saturated area right there. And it's right as it transitions into the shadow, and then there'll be a dark, dark shadow right here by the foot. The cast shadow from the foot. That blends right into the core shadow of the leg. I do have a shortcut programmed right into my Cintiq's stylus, so that I just click a button and I go right to the color picker, which is hella convenient. I have the same thing set on Photoshop, except for Photoshop it'll, I also have it here while I'm holding it down, it's the color picker. As soon as I let go, it goes right back to the main brush. Photoshop works slightly different. There, it'll stay on the color picker till I click the other button and it goes back to brush. Now, every painting I think I've ever worked on goes through this phase where it doesn't look like it's ever going to pull through, and it's just like, what the hell am I doing? I'm never going to pull this off. And you really need to work through that phase, because that phase can be deadly. If you don't get through that, I mean, you're never going to get to push. If you don't push through, you're never going to get to the finished painting. But it can be quite daunting at times. I know there's been times where I have put off a piece, you know, that I was working on and didn't like where it was going and thought I was never going to be able to pull it off. And there is a time you sometimes need to step away from the piece and come back with fresh eyes and a clearer head. And you'll be like, oh wait, maybe it's not so as bad as you think it is. I mean, it does happen to me rather frequently, actually. Or I'll start something where the idea behind it is better than my ability at the time to pull it off. And so I'll go and work on the skills I need building towards going back to that and finishing it the way that I want to finish it. This happens to me quite frequently. Well, I wouldn't say frequently, but it does happen. Especially if it's a piece in a genre or a type of art I don't normally do at all. Like there's a piece that I'm working on that's a steampunk piece, and I don't do normally steampunk, but you know, there was a client who had requested one, and you know, they just wanted to make sure the image was good, and they wanted to see how I would interpret it, so they definitely wanted me to do it. And there was no specific time frame. It didn't, you know, so it's not like something that I was on deadline or nothing like that, because otherwise they would refuse the commission. But yeah, that piece I got somewhat finished, but it hit a wall in my skill level that I need to work on. Not because it's a steampunk piece, but more the nature of the piece itself is very heavily, what's the word I'm looking for? Perspective based. 'Cause the perspective isn't exactly right, and since the nature of the piece itself requires decent perspective, I want to make sure I get my skills up to where they need to be for that. So in the meantime, that's one of the things I've been working on. Boxes, boxes, more boxes. I draw boxes all day. Because that's very helpful when it comes to learning that kind of stuff. But definitely, if I could afford to go at the moment and it was at the right time, I would definitely go back and learn some more of the fundamentals, brushed up like perspective and that kind of stuff. Because I'm mostly self-taught when it comes to that kind of stuff, and so in some aspects it makes me slightly weaker, and I know that. But I mean, I do work on it. But I would rather be in a setting where I can learn from others directly. But right now that's not feasible. I was pretty happy where the painting's going so far. Let's see, we have to flip it again. One thing to be careful of when you're mirroring your image in Sketchbook is that you're mirroring the whole canvas and not just the layer. I've accidentally done that before, where I mirrored just the layer and I'm like, whoa, no, that's weird. Now it's not lined up with the sketch. I mean, in this case, sketch turned off. There it is. But I kind of really don't need it at the moment. But another thing that I go back into doing is I will go back to the pencil tool for adding a little bit of I'll go on to another layer. I do like using the pencil tool for fine line work. So like when I go to do the butt crack right here. Find that tool is very useful for that. It's also good for just redefining the edge. Let's see. that leg needs to curve in a lot more. And I notice this arm probably isn't long enough. That leg's too thick. The proportion is seeming a little bit wrong here. Razor. Now, normally in Sketchbook Pro, I very rarely zoom in much. I might zoom in a little bit later, but probably not. Because I'm not going for photorealism or anything like that, which is one of the reasons I'm using Sketchbook Pro as opposed to Photoshop. In Photoshop, I would go in there and render the hell out of this thing, but that defeats the purpose. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing a fully rendered painting. But I know if I was using Photoshop, that'd be my instinct. I'd want to go in there and get it all nice full rendering, and it's basically a completely overworked piece. I do that, or I tend to do that. So it's one of the things I'm working on, and one of the reasons I do a lot of speed painting is to try and break myself of that habit of overworking things, over detailing things where detail's not really necessary. No one's going to see it anyway. And sometimes you can overwork a piece that it loses its magic. That's why a lot of people prefer sketches, like the rough sketch before the cleaned up work. Because it certainly can lose a lot of the magic, the life, so to speak. The other reason I am working in Sketchbook Pro as opposed to Photoshop is if I was in Photoshop, my temptation would be to speed things up. I would color pick from the photo. I mean, even though I do know how to color mix and all that stuff, but just for expediency's sake, and that would also defeat some of the purpose of the exercise, which is practice not doing that kind of stuff. I'm noticing, let's see, this leg here, looks like this whole upper leg might need to be moved over more. Let's see. Yeah. Yes, because if I look at the photo, the reference, the toe lines up approximately, let's see, with this toe, whereas here it's over that way more. So this whole leg sort of needs to bend over. So I'm going to go do that now. now, and I'm just gonna see. There's a sketch. I don't need the sketch anymore. I think I'm gonna just toss that layer. Bye bye. Also, what I should take the time to do now, just in case something happens. File, save as. Paper painting study 15. All right, that should be right. Close enough anyway. There we go. Let's see. Use that gap. That leg's looking a little bit better. Line a little bit more. Let's see, I'm gonna mirror it back. Sometimes I'll forget which was even the starting orientation. Now, I'll probably end up posting a sped up version of this first. this head is too high up again. The whole thing is slightly too far up. And I know the arms need to be bigger, so first things first. Head itself. That's closer to where it should be. Now, while I'm not looking for getting it exact, I do want it to be closer to where it should be. I want to get the proportions as accurate as I can, etc. But it's not going to be an exact copy. It doesn't need to be. But I do want it to be proportionally correct anyway. This a little better. Let's see. It's almost flat back here. Towards the arm. Something like that. There we go. Sometimes I'll tend to just like talk to myself and ramble a bit. Don't mind me. Whoa, whoops. I must have accidentally color picked the background. Oops. Now, I sometimes will use these blending brushes here, which I'm going to go do now, just to smooth out the skin tone a little bit. Whoa. looked, so backspace. Let's try it again. And be careful when using these smudge tools, the smudgy brush. It can be sensitive. And it can sometimes have the exact opposite effect of what you might be trying for. Quickly pause for a sip of water. Now I know a good, probably not going to be a lot of people watch this whole video, who knows. It is going to be rather long. So I'm probably going to post the sped up version of this as well. In fact, I'll probably end up posting that prior to posting this full version. Oh, I hear my cat in the background. So if it starts getting too annoying, I'll have to let it in. I am not a cat person in the slightest. I really don't like the little beasts. I'm noticing this knee is very misshapen right here. So I need to go more that way. Let's see. You may have noticed that for a while now, I haven't bothered going back up to this here color palette. And that's because mostly after a good chunk of the painting's in, I don't really go by it anyway. I was really only as a start to get a base down. But once that base is down, I can work pretty much from colors I've already used and and based on that, I can color pick from there. And I could just use this thing to go more saturated, less saturated, lighter, darker, etc. So I don't really need that anymore, so I could just get rid of it. Boing, don't need it. And then shortly, coming up rather soon, I suspect I'll be cropping the image to the actual final borders of the picture. So I don't need all this extra canvas space. But for right now, I'll leave it in there. Don't think I made this back cheap big enough. Maybe it actually should come up to about here. See, well, since I saved, I'll save that. noticing this body isn't thick enough down here, because this should just about line up, so I think it needs to come up a little bit higher. Give that cloth a little more definition now. There, the canvas again. Save it. Let's see. Now's probably a good time for that cropping I was talking about. Let's see, so we'll go to crop tool. Select first, and then I'll crop to the selection. That's about where I want it cropped. So now I'll crop to the selection. There. I'll go back to this layer and get some more definition going on that cloth. Not too much, but more than it is now. And then likewise the hands. now I think it's starting to come together pretty decently. Let's see. A little indication of where the fingers will be. Like I said, yeah, if this is like one of my fully rendered pieces, I'd go in there and detail out how the fingers should look, etc. But it's not, so I won't. Different piece, different purpose. And it's more impressionism. I think that's the word I'm looking for. You know, I just need to give the impression of the fingers. I certainly don't need to render the fingers. It serves no useful function. Indicate where the fingers will be, and let the viewer's mind do some work. It'll do a better job anyway. It knows what it's looking for, and it'll just put it there whether it's there or not, for the most part. Because at this point, like, if you make it look like it should have been detailed and your details are wrong, your brain will pick up on that. But whereas if you leave it vague enough where the brain can interpret it the way it wants, the way it knows it's supposed to look like, it'll look better because the brain knows what it's supposed to, if that makes any sense. I'm kind of just rambling. But yeah, since your mind knows what it is, so it'll just fill in the blanks. So I say give it some blanks to fill in. And that is, for me, hard to do. Because, like I said, my instinct is to render. I like rendering. It's one of the things I like doing. So I tend to go overboard and render stuff that doesn't really require it. Now this hand itself is, I think, on the small side. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy, then I'm going to create a new layer before I paste it, because I've noticed its default activity is to paste in the same layer, which I don't like. There's probably a setting for that I just haven't figured out yet because I'm too lazy to look. It's not that big of a difference, but I do think it's a little bit better in a slightly bigger form. It is very dark along that edge. we go. We're just using the one of the blendy brushes just to blend that rope a little bit more. Give a little flow. Make it look more like a cohesive piece of fabric. Alright, I'm liking the way that one looks. Let's see if Alright, now we'll go work on the other foot and hand. So let's see. I think it needs to curve a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's I'm noticing by the like right here, the background's a little too light. Yeah, I think the background's a little bit too light, so I'm going to just darken that up a little bit. Back to that fan brush I used for the background. Use the brush size. Grab some more of the dark color from this side. Move it over. Might have gone a little bit too dark, but we'll see. Back out a little bit of smudging just to smooth it up a bit. I gotta remember to be a little bit careful towards those edges, otherwise it'll pull the pixels that aren't actually in the image. I don't know why it does that, but it does. Strange behavior. But now it's a little bit too uniform and boring, so I'm going to duplicate the layer. And then this one I'll dirty back up again. I know it looks like I just did something just to completely reverse and undo it. Strange like that. There we go, I like that better. See, file. Alright, now I'm going to clean up this foot here. Yep, that's perfect. to anyone who's actually watching this, let me know what you think. What made you actually decide to watch this whole entire thing? I know it's very long. Whether you would like to see more long-form content, because I know I myself, I love watching long, or rather most of the time I'm actually listening to long-form content. So a YouTube video that's a couple hours long is no problem for me. But I do know that it's on the more extreme end of things. A lot of people much prefer shorter videos, which I like those too. I mean, I watch a dozen of those a day. I'm on YouTube a lot, which is weird because a couple of years ago I was barely ever on YouTube because I didn't realize its potential, like the other stuff, like the art channels and whatnot, that it has. I honestly thought it was all stupid videos of people crashing and doing other stupid stuff that you'd likely see on Real TV, which is a channel I despise. So I didn't associate YouTube with good content until much more recent. Though there were some bright spots along the way, like Joe Bloom's channel. I watched a lot of those videos when I first heard of them, and I think that's what got me started on watching YouTube content on a more regular basis was his videos, which led to other videos, which led to other videos, and then Google Plus, which led to a whole slew of content. And so now, yeah, I spend a significant portion of every day on YouTube watching various different videos and art videos and blogs and vlogs and this, that, and the other thing. A lot of science videos too. But yeah, so I myself love long form content. Like I love Things Used videos; they're great. FCD Designed Cinema. If you haven't watched those, you should go check them out. They're excellent. Psycho Yessen's channel, I like his. Bobby Chews. All sorts of stuff. Scott Robertson, I watch his regularly. Let's see, Moat tutorials or Moat DD tutorials. It's been a while since I've seen one of them, but I watched a lot of his videos. I remember they started out as I think it was 10-minute drawing videos. I think that's how they were originally built, and then they were pretty good videos. And I think Mark Chung is the first one where I first saw Sketchbook Pro and liked it, although he's since moved on to, I think he uses TV Paint, but let's see what other channels I regularly watch. Let's see, ASAP Science, Vsauce, all three of them. At least I think there's only 3 at the moment. Let's see, Vlog Brothers, Mary Doodles. What else? SciShow, Crash Course. Axis of Awesome. Can't go wrong there. Byron Rample. I Draw Zombies, I think is the name of the channel. There's so many of them. I subscribe to a lot of videos these days. Oh, let's see, Lamar Wilson. Can't forget him. Tazon Day. Black Nerd. Comic Girl. String of numbers I can't recall offhand, but her videos are awesome. But there you go, rambling again. Alright, and I'm liking the way that back arm looks. I'm liking the way the cloth looks. This is getting rapidly close to completion. Let's see. I think I want to put a little bit more form definition in this foot up here. I'm not really happy the way that toe reads or in really any of the reads. Just a hair. While I like the cloth itself, I don't like that. Yeah, because there's like no form definition at all in this foot. That needs to change. I think I hear my 3-year-old waking up in the other room, so if you see me pause this video, that's why. But hopefully she'll just go right back to sleep and she's just tossing and turning in her sleep. It's currently my time. It's 6 a.m. in the morning. I do stay up all night, almost every night. I work overnights in my day job. That sounded really strange to say. I should say my full-time job. I do work steady night shift. So during the weekends, I stay up all night. And tomorrow I get to go see my favorite band play again. Anyone who's subscribed to me for any length of time knows my favorite band is Guar. You might have seen some of my videos of me drawing them. Yeah, and in fact, even further back, you might have seen me interviewing their Dave Brocky, who is the lead singer. Well, Oderus Urungus is his lead singer. He's his human slave. Which I did via Google Plus Hangout. I did a speed painting of him while interviewing him. So that was, that was pretty cool. I was glad he was willing to participate. I was kind of actually surprised too. I see, back to those videos I subscribed to, because another couple that popped into my head that I can't believe I didn't mention was, let's see, drawing tutorials. I'm trying to remember the name of the channel. Damn it, it escapes me. But I think the name of it is just Fine Art Tutorials, perhaps. I think that's the name. And they're fun, and he has tutorials every Tuesday. I Draw Girls. I subscribe to him, although I think he just changed the name of the channel to his actual name, which is, I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce it. I'm sure you know who he is anyway. And Proco, I do subscribe to his channel, which is another excellent resource. Dan Prokopenko, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Yep, I do hear my daughter coming in here, so I'm going to pause the video temporarily. I'm back. Not that you noticed I really went, but it was only a few minutes. It was a false alarm. She never actually came in here. Let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, other YouTube channels that I subscribe to. Let's see, there's Will Terrell. His videos are awesome. There's Vihart. Makes math fun. Let's see. Who else? Steven Silver. Definitely. Oh yeah. The Comic Girl. That's right, it's Comic Girl 19. How could I forget that? I myself haven't read comics in years, far too long. But she certainly makes me want to go out and pick them up again, and I just might. I also subscribe to Z Frank. Epic Rap Battles. I love those. Yeah, it's just amazing to me the wealth of content out here, if you know where to look. And that was the problem, is for so long I didn't know where to look. Oh yeah, Paul Stan, can't forget him. Body painting. I love his work, and I've had the privilege to hang out with him several times, both in Google Plus Hangouts as well as in person. Overall, cool guy and excellent artist. Definitely makes me wish I knew anything about body painting at all, which I don't. Or airbrushing in general. One day I would love to make it out to Rhode Island, take a couple lessons directly from him. That would be beyond awesome. And see, this is very close to winding down. Tighten up some areas. Not completely satisfied with this top part here. Something about it's not reading right. Maybe I should flip the mirror image to help me take a better look at that. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be posting a much sped up version of this with no audio, or very limited audio, if at all. Of course, I don't see why I'm bothering to tell you that, because if you've watched at this point, you don't really need to see that, because you would have already seen the whole video anyway. That, and I'll be posting that before this anyway. So by now, you should already know. Perhaps you watched it. And if so, thank you. You know, like I said before, if you have anything specific you'd like to know, videos, any topic, etc., you'd like to cover, or like me to cover rather, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do about covering it if I know anything about it to begin with. I want this section to come down a bit further. I'm not sure if you can hear them in the background, but the morning birds will be waking up. wasn't liking the way this face was going. I'm just trying to tweak it now. Alright, I notice I'm spending way too much time on stuff that's really kind of on the trivial side. But being a caricature artist, I'm used to working on the face and making a face really, really detailed and right. And I don't feel that that face is right yet. And I'm not sure if I'm going to. But it's one of those, yeah, pay attention to the law of diminishing returns. Is more work on that face going to really help the overall painting? In this case, I'm not so sure it is, but it's annoying me, so I'm going to do the best I can anyway. But she does have an expression on her face that I'd like to try and capture if I can. But there's something bothering me about this lower section here. I guess that neck doesn't go far enough back. Let's get rid of this. It's distracting me at the moment. The bottom part of that cloth is just distracting, and the silhouette's not reading right down here. Well, maybe the head's not far enough down. Maybe it's not big enough. Something's not right. And I know it's not right, so it's just annoying me. Let me flip the canvas completely upside down. Yeah. So like I said, since that section is annoying me. So I want to see, why is it annoying me? And I'm kind of liking the pose in this view anyway. It's definitely a nice view of the pose. It flows just as nicely going this way as it does the other. Now I know I need to add that little strip of hair, and I know so. You know, I see what I just did. You know, I just did a screw up there because, oops. That's weird. At some point, hold on, so I'm going to go back several steps because at some point my light side and my dark side switched in the background, and I'm not sure when that happened or why. So let me see. Go back several spaces before I flipped it. That's why it's alright. Now I think I know why things are starting to bother. Things have been unduly bothering me. At some point I must have flipped the canvas. And I don't even remember doing it. And that's why I must have went to flip the layer. I remember I told you earlier to be cautious about that. I must have screwed it up, and I think that's one of the reasons it's reading so wrong to me. Is contrasting against that light background, and it shouldn't be. So how many steps backwards I screwed that up? Must have been a while ago. All right, so let me go back to the current. As far up as I am. See, so those of you who are watching this, if you're watching the whole video, you're probably like, do you see what you just did, you imbecile? Alright, so that's where I noticed it. So now I'm just going to flip. Let me mirror, image, mirror, layer. Let's see, mirror, layer. There we go, that's back to normal. Now, mirror canvas, flip it that way. Now, canvas vertically. There we go. Now, I mean, the face is still bothering me, but at least that's one mystery solved. I knew something really wasn't right. I'm also noticing now that I'm at this angle that this is a little too vertical. It should be slanted this way, because it's actually moving towards the other leg. So, with that in mind, I'm going to correct that. It's one of the benefits of flipping frequently. Now, I didn't get a chance to, or I should say I didn't get a chance because I had plenty of chance. I just didn't flip vertically. I just did mostly horizontal flips. I should say up until just now I did only horizontal flips. Yeah, instead of doing it that way, go back to when I made this selection in the first place. I'm going to copy. Now paste that on I'll do the rotation on another layer. That way I don't have that gap here, which will be annoying to reconnect. And what I'll do is I'll just erase the layer underneath it. Right about there. Then I'll go under here and just erase out that area. That works a lot better. Let me just reblend this in just a bit. Now the head shape is wrong. See how here it's wider this way and it's not like this, whereas in the reference it's more like, let's just go really right here. that. And that's why I'm reading that shape is way wrong. And it's because it is way wrong. Knowing that, I can correct it. I knew there was something really, really bothering me about it. Now what I'll do is I'll, once again, copy, let's see. A face shape. Get it to a more proper angle. Edit. Cut. Let's cut that right off. Edit. Paste. I'll bring it back to near there. I'll turn that other layer on. And then what I'll do is I'll go to this layer and I'll rotate it. Yeah, some problems, you know, aren't worth fixing. Others are essential. That I'd mark that one down as the essential category, because that was just way off. Now, before I flip back to check my progress, I'm noticing there's an area right here that I need to address. Image vertically. Now, I'm still not 100% happy with that face, but it is certainly a lot better than it was. Ah, she's headless, she's headless. Now, once again, I noticed that the head position was really, I wasn't really happy with it. You know, this is driving me nuts. And you're probably like, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm definitely liking the way this is going a little bit better now. Sorry, it's taking so long just to finish this last little bit up, but what ain't right, it ain't right. What are you gonna do? Now, I like how it's going. I think it's just about done. I mean, it is done, really. It's just one more thing I do see that it needs. Well, first of all, this is the correct orientation. I don't like how it's centered on the page. But I am happy with the image now. Let me see. I want to move it over, but I'm afraid the background is designed for where it is currently. I don't know how it's going to work if I move it. So I might have to duplicate the background layer and move them together, but we'll find out in a moment. Let's see. I just want to move it slightly, just so it's not. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Just so she wasn't like so close to the edge of the page that she was like falling off. Up slightly. I think she was a little too close to that side. Alright, so I am done with this image, finally. Thank you for watching. If you managed to make it through the whole thing, go get yourself a treat and reward yourself, because this has been a very long video. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like the video, thumbs up, and all that wonderful stuff. Like I said earlier, you could look me up on Facebook, Google+, etc. I am on Twitter, but I barely ever actually am on Twitter. So it's probably not the best place to communicate with me. Alright, any relevant links will be down below. And a big thanks to Marcus, whose pictures these are, because his imagery is great. Alright, let me sign this and it's done. Yay! Oh, whoops, wrong brush. You may have noticed I never went back and added in that other white piece that comes down here. I'm just thinking right now, perhaps I should. Maybe. I'll just try it, throw it in. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I could just take it right back out. No big deal. I know. I said it was done. But it does kind of enhance the flow a bit, because it almost mimics the hair. I do think I like it in. See, so that's without it, and that's with it. So I do think I do prefer it slightly better with it. Hey, thank you for watching. Take care.